Yeah, hello there. My name is Wikinara, and we're gonna do something a little bit different today. So, I'm gonna do these. As many people know, I am very. What is the word for it? I like zombie media. So I really like zombie media, zombie apocalypse things, and I am a person who believes that that is a possibility for an apocalypse, an apocalyptic event, one should say. So, if that is something that could happen. But what we're going to do here today is something that I've actually never done before. I've seen videos of it. I've seen actually loads of videos of people doing things like this, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone do one like this. What we're going to do here today is I am going to be ranking zombie apocalypse melee weapons. So I took into account, I sat down for a good couple of hours and thought to myself, what are, from that I know from different shows, movies, things like that, and then just real life scenarios, what are good melee weapons that you see in these sorts of things, and how well do they actually work? How well can a beginner pick one up? Say, average Joe, pick one of these things up and use it to defend themselves in the zombie apocalypse, and then we will rank it from S to E. And if I think it is even below that, we might drop something even like more below E if need be. So I went and I gathered a whole bunch of different pictures of things so that we can throw them on our tier list, and you'll see there's a list of them here. So is this, I think this is our first one. Yes, our first one. So this is, I'm just going in the order that I have them in my file. So first here we have just an aluminum baseball bat. I would say that is a pretty good standard weapon. They, basically anyone can pick it up and use it. However, it does have its drawbacks. One, it is a blunt weapon. So, you've got blunt weapons, bladed weapons, and whatnot. Blunt weapons are going to take a little bit more energy, I would say. They take, depends, baseball, aluminum baseball bats and whatnot, or just baseball bats, they come in different weights and lengths and all those things. But I'd say this is an all-around pretty good, solid start. I would say this is a pretty good all-around solid start. And this is also one that you can find basically anywhere. You go into most people's houses, and for one, a lot of people already own one for home defense. A lot of people do. They own one for home defense, or, you had kids in Little League or baseball or whatever. You were in Little League or baseball, so now you just still have yours. So I'd say that an aluminum baseball bat, in my mind, is a pretty good A tier weapon. So we're gonna go with that. And then, even though it's not technically next on my list, I do have a wooden baseball bat, which is, a bit different because it's a bit different because you think of different things. There's lots of different times in zombie media that you see people using baseball bats. Probably one of the most famous right now is probably Negan in The Walking Dead, when he used his baseball bat wrapped in razor wire. But I would say, realistically, depending on the age and condition, these can be prone to break. Though it does take force and usage, and they have gotten better over the years, I will say that. they have gotten better over the years because there used to be, you know, pretty heavy hitters in like Major League Baseball and whatnot that would shatter these bats. They would hit a like ball with it and shatter the bat. So they have done that, but it also is one of those, depending on what you're getting it from and if there's defects in the wood. I would say this is, I would call it a B plus to, you know, I'd say it's a B plus to an A. So we're gonna put it on B. Shorten it down, make it smaller. So I got a bunch of these. So the next one I have on this list, which I already basically know where I'm gonna put it, is a chainsaw. A chainsaw is technically, even though it uses, you know, something, it is technically still a melee weapon. But you see people using this in, you know, like Evil Dead, whatnot. This gets used as a weapon. But in my opinion, it's just not a very good one. I've used chainsaws myself. I've seen other people use chainsaws themselves, and it's definitely not one that like anyone can just pick up and use, trust me. Because chainsaws are hard to operate. They're hard to operate. They're easy to break if you don't know what you're doing. And they also don't just take gasoline. A lot of them don't just take gasoline. They just, you know, they take a mixture. They take a mixture, which people could argue then, okay, since all the gas is going to cars and whatnot, then you have more of this mixture, which is, you know, it's just like a special, I can't remember it's a special oil gasoline mixture. I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I do know it is like an actual, you know, you're not just using straight gasoline for most of them. There might be some that do, some bigger, heftier ones that do take just straight gasoline. And that's another thing. The size. They are unwieldy. They can be very unwieldy. Especially if you were going for... What they're really meant for is you're taking a saw. You're taking like a table saw that you'd be sitting there going like this on a limb or something like that for 15 minutes or more, and you're cutting that time down. So you're meant to basically hold it and move it, and, you know, not too much. It's meant to, it's a very, even though it is very large, it is a fairly precise sort of device. It is a fairly sort of, yeah, like I said, a very precise sort of device. But then you get things like the chain. Your chain can slip, it gets dull, there's not too many good, I feel like there's not too many good, like, reasons for this. Like, it's just impractical. It makes for a great movie prop. I will say that it makes for a great movie prop, but it's just very, very impractical in the long run. So for that, we'll put it at E, but I would probably throw it lower. It would probably be around an F, but I'm not going to add any tiers. I threw in most of these, so most of them are already here. A crowbar. Next up is a crowbar. In my opinion, a crowbar is awesome. So this is, you know, a very specific, this is a crowbar. It's not a pry bar. It's not, what's the other one? Comes with, you use it on your car. You use it for removing lug nuts in your car, and you basically keep one in the trunk of your car. even though it is, they are very, can be used in a very similar way. I would like to say that these are actually, this is pretty freaking high up there, because a crowbar is not just like a melee weapon in the sense that it's got multiple options. It's a blunt weapon with this, like, this curved head here, this with its curved head, but then you've also got this down here, which can be used as a, like, stabbing weapon, as a, like, sort of impaling weapon. And then I can't remember what show it was. It was more of a, actually no, okay. It was a character from the show Z Nation, which is not only like a zombie show, but it's also a comedy show, where a character makes the comment of, why do people still lock things in the zombie apocalypse? And then he says that he has the skeleton key, and he pulls out a crowbar, which I believe this is fully freaking true. I mean, that's exactly what you use it for. You use it for prying open things. So it's not only a, you know, good, it's a multi-use weapon. It's can be used for things outside of combat. That, and they're made of, you know, if you get a good crowbar, they're made of solid steel. They're just like literally just a piece of steel that's been bent a bit, and, you know, bent and shaped a little bit, so it's strong and sturdy, and it's gonna last you a while. And I would say it's one that anyone can pick up and wield. So this one, I would say availability is, it's pretty, I would say it's pretty common. I mean, you walk into a hardware store, there's like multiple different lengths of them for different reasons. Honestly, I have to give this an S tier. This is probably the first S tier, and it might be the only S tier, who knows. But that is a solid weapon. Let's see. How many do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have 15. There's certainly way more, but, you know, there's definitely a lot more, but these are like some of the ones that first come to mind for me. So the next I have up is an entrenching tool. If you don't know what an entrenching tool is, it is basically a shortened, it's more military issue than it is you know, standard for, so it's probably going to be a bit less common among, you know, people, just among civilians. And they did change the design of entrenching tools, so they're not like this one now. This one is more of a World War II era entrenching tool, maybe into Vietnam, where they still had the wooden handle. Now they collapse fully. We actually have two of them in our house. We have one that is like this, and then one that is one of the modern ones. The modern one we use for camping and whatnot. This was used for another activity. But I will give it one of these things. These things, it's not just a shovel, but it is sharp. It is incredibly sharp. So you can use it to slash and whatnot. And they're only about maybe 2 feet long, 1.5 feet maybe. But they're pretty, they're versatile. They've got a couple uses to them, not just for that. But if you go with modern day entrenching tool, definitely put it down, because in my mind, anything that collapses, that, you know, folds up and whatnot, you're instantly gonna have to knock off a couple points because they're prone to break and whatnot, so you got to keep up with that. But like this one, you have a wooden handle, so of course that can possibly break. or it could just have been poorly manufactured. Also, like I said, this one, like the wooden handled one, as far as I know, they're not super common. You're not gonna find them in a lot of places, but we have them because we had them because it was a very specific event that we got one for. I think all in all, that one's probably gonna have to go in B. Even though I do like it, I think that's probably a good B tier. Let's see what do we got next. Oh, this is a good one. Fire axe. So modern day fire axes they're substantial. They're pretty heavy. If I'm not mistaken, because fire axes, they've, had multiple changes to the handles. Yeah, so the handles can range anywhere normally from wooden handles, so wooden hickory handle, or fiberglass, which is, it changes things. But these things are heavy. They're heavier than your modern, just, wood splitting axe. But they're durable. They're durable. They stay sharp. There's multiple heads to it. So you've got, your front actual end here, and then you've got the back end, which is normally used for poking holes in doors and creating vents. But I like these. This is and they would be not necessarily easily found, but say, you've gotten to the point where there's not many people left. I would say this is because you go to the whatever fire station, they're gonna have tools. They're gonna have lots of tools because fire stations have 1,000,001 tools, and there's so many of them that you look at and you're like, that can be used as a weapon. Because a lot of them are meant for breaching. They have like 5 different tools for breaching. But I would have to give this a solid A. Because, an axe, if you take good care of it, keep it sharp and whatnot, it's gonna last you. It's gonna last you for a long time. Even like I said, even just a normal wood splitting axe is going to, last you for a while. Okay, so next up, I have a folding knife. So this is just any folding knife. So, any folding pocket knife. So this would be, anything that a lot of people carry them around. I'll say that. I feel like a lot less people carry them around nowadays than they used to. I carry one. My dad probably carries one. I was in Scouts, so it's just second nature to me. So that's one of those things that I carry around. They're good. They're sharp. They're good for opening things. I would say, though, you see them used in shows like The Walking Dead and whatnot, and they do show the flaws of them, which I brought up earlier, the whole folding thing. If it folds, it can break. You can have, so this is, that nut right there is what's holding it in place. So it can break pretty easily. And depending on how you hold it and whatnot. The blades are, unless you're going for an overly gigantic blade, are not super great. They're I would say yes, keep one on you because they can be used for a million other things. but they're not the best for combat and self-defense. Not against zombies. But they can be used for other things. So I feel like for that, considering this is melee weapons against zombies, I have to give it, ooh. I feel like I have to throw it into the C tier. We're gonna throw it in C. So it's good for other things, but considering this is melee weapons against zombies, it's not the best. Then I'm kind of basing mine off of, you know, because in zombie media, they've made a million types of zombies now. There's not just, you know, your typical shambling corpses. There's, you know, you get things like you go into Resident Evil and they're all like crazy and whatnot, or even like Left 4 Dead, where you have like different variations on zombies. So those will require different tools for different job, you know? But still, okay, next one's pretty easy. This is just clawhead hammer. Any form of clawhead hammer. I mean, you could even say, if you want to go with other hammers, well, normally just a one-handed hammer. You're gonna find them everywhere. Same thing as the pocket knife. You're gonna find them everywhere. Every household should have one. They're pretty sturdy. They should last a while. Anyone can pick one up and use one. They can be used for entering. And honestly, if you get a good one, it shouldn't break on you. And depending on this looks like it's just like some 16 ounce, but especially if you're like a tradesman or something, like if you're a carpenter, then you should already know how to use that bad boy. But I'm gonna have to throw this. I feel like this is our second S tier. This is our second S tier because it's for melee weapons. You do have to get closer, though. You do have to get closer. And that risks getting grabbed. Ooh. All of these melee weapons, you run the risk of getting grabbed. But this one is so much shorter than a lot of the other ones, like the baseball bat and whatnot. Yeah, than the baseball bat or the fire axe. Yeah, I completely forgot about that aspect. I'm gonna have to knock this one actually down to an A, and then the pocket knife is gonna have to go down to D, because it's that one thing. If you're having to get up close, that was actually one of the things that I had in mind when I was looking at some of the things, was you have to know what you're doing. Okay, hatchet. So I would say pretty easily hatchet's gonna you have to take care of them like you do a fire axe. Same thing, they shouldn't break. Have to get closer though, but you can use it for multiple things other than fighting. You should find these pretty easily. They're generally most places. I'd give this an A tier as well. That one's pretty easy. Okay, see this next one. I knew the next one would be this will be semi-controversial. So a katana, I do have two swords on here. A katana it requires skill. It requires skill to use. You may think they're very available just based on how much you see them, but to get like a true katana that's gonna last you and is gonna work, isn't as available as one thinks. Trust me, you look online and whatnot, you look at all the different, like, tactical. I will say that tactical is a word that companies absolutely love to freaking throw around because people love that. Like, they see that and immediately think, oh, that's got to be a great quality thing and whatnot. No. That does not mean anything. That they can be the worst crappy stainless steel thing that's gonna break, and depending on how the handle and whatnot is put together is going to screw things as well. But I think this is more of, it's more of a it's a skill thing. So yes, I'd say, okay, even some of those replica ones, depending if they're sharp or not, I feel like a lot of them probably aren't. But I've never owned a replica weapon. I feel like I'm gonna have to throw this one and see, because it's, like I said, the market is flooded with those. They're marketed as being super great and whatnot. And I will say they are available, but you're not going to find them in everyone's home, of course. But they're not the best. And a sword, any form of sword, takes skill. It takes skill that not everyone has. Okay, here's another good one. Kitchen knife. Kitchen knife is... actually might have to be S tier. Because if... no, it might be A tier again because of the distance thing. Because if I'm going based on... I didn't think fully on... I didn't give myself, here's the list of criteria that you have to meet. Maybe that's what I should do if I do another one of these. A list of, like, these are the 5 different criteria that you need to meet. But... you're gonna you find up every home. They're plentiful. I mean, you take good care of a kitchen knife, it should last a long while if it's a decent brand. Hell, even if it's not a decent brand, we've had some kitchen knives before that aren't super decent brands that we're still using them, but it's not for what you'd be using them for. I think I'm going to have to keep it in A strictly just based on the fact that you're going to find them everywhere. You might use it once or twice and it breaks, maybe. If you use it wrong, it breaks. Or if you continuously use it right, it breaks. I mean, that, and you see it in zombie media as well, people taking them and turning them into, like, spears and stuff. You know, attaching to the ends of poles, which works, gives you a little bit of distance. It's not as practical with a hammer. I mean, there are pole hammers, but, you know, that's a very specific thing. But I think due to the fact of how available they are and you keep a knife sharp and whatnot, it should be a good weapon. It should be a good one. Okay, this is a classic. The machete. The machete is an absolute classic. I will say some people own that. They're not as available. They are available, but if you're like on your own, whatnot, and you're not like near some big store or something, rather you're like you got into someone's garden shed, because that's what they're originally for. Is, you know, they're originally for brush clearing and sugarcane cutting. Actually, I mean, there is a specific one called a sugarcane knife, which is just a different variation on a machete. but I would say they also fall under the downfalls of the katana. Of anytime I personally buy a knife or anything like that, I feel like I sit there and look at the details and whatnot way, way more than I do for like clothing. Because for one, they're expensive, and especially if you go and like you buy one from like Walmart for like $10, and you go home and you're specifically, hey, I'm getting this to clear brush with, and you go home and you unpackage it, and you hit it once and then the handle breaks apart, or it's not even sharp or whatnot. Those sorts of things. Those things add to the like crappiness quality. That's another thing. I don't know if I have it on my list. If not, I'll mention it and I'll bring it up. But I think I'd say it's probably B, because there is the availability of them. They're pretty compact if you need to move around quickly. That's actually something I haven't talked about too much, is like moving around with them too much. Actually, no, I have, because I brought it up with like I think I brought it up with some of them. Okay, what else do I got? Oh, this is a pretty easy one. A shovel. Just a basic I think this is it has a specific name. Like if I were to look it up. This sort of shovel has a specific name. I completely Okay. Pointed. So this is a pointed. This is a pointed spade. And it's probably gonna be what you're gonna find in lots of people's garages, sheds, whatnot. They're available. They're very available. They do have more range than a lot of the things on here. I'll give them that. It does have a decent amount of range. It can be used for other things. I'd say the handles, they're easy to replace if you know how to replace them. But I mean, if you don't break it right away. Anything that has wood is a slight downfall, because there's always like possible flaws with wood, or it wasn't treated right, those sorts of things. However, I think it has its other advantages. But I mean, if you get like that, I'm going based off of what the like picture is here, but you have like fiberglass handles and metal handles and whatnot. I think I've had more metal handled shovels break on me than I have wooden handled ones. So I'd have to, I feel like this is probably a good A tier. Scoochie. Okay. Okay, yeah, so the next one is a sledgehammer. In my opinion, this is like a... The picture isn't exactly great. This is like a Halloween costume sledgehammer, so it's plastic. But any sledgehammer, in my opinion, is gonna get knocked down a lot because they're unwieldy. Anyone can pick them up and use them, but it does take a little bit of strength to use them, unless you just manage to get lucky with momentum. They're unwieldy, but they do keep up. You're not having to keep up an edge. They're heavy if you're just gonna have to be carrying them around all the time. They're not the best in tight spaces. I think I'm gonna have to put this one down with the... I'm tied. I want to give it like a D plus to C, because you know it can be useful. Of course, they're available. They're everywhere. You'll find them pretty much everywhere. They come in different weights and whatnot, and they have different handles and whatnot. Yeah, the picture I grabbed was horrible. And this is technically the last one I have a picture of, but I completely forgot about it, so it's not going to be the last one I'm going to bring up. So, a sword. Just a, like, European longsword or anything like that. There's a million types of swords. Don't get me wrong. I know this. I've been shopping for swords. There's a million types of swords. They fall under the same issues of katanas, of course, because they're, you know, a katana is a sword. They have that same downflaw of you get one, it may be badly made, or it may be, hey, I found this, and this is literally, the picture is of Anduril, which is Aragorn's sword from The Lord of the Rings. So this is literally a picture of a prop sword. So it might be a prop sword that's not really, it's meant to hang on a wall. It's not meant to be used. But I mean, even some prop swords, if they're made well enough, they can be sharpened up and used. But I feel like these ones, it does take some care as well. It does take the need for knowing how to use it. And you know, not everyone's a knight like they think they are. Trust me, sword fighting is not easy. It's not all just waving a sword around. It's not. But I feel like it does. I feel like it falls under the same category as a katana. So I'm gonna give it, even though they do have differences to each other, they very much fall under the same category. Let me find one last one, because I completely forgot to do this. Oh. This is a survival knife, just a basic survival knife. There's a million and one kinds of survival knives. This is more of a bushcrafting kind of knife, which is very specific. There's, like I said, there's a million and one kinds of them. Probably not everyone's gonna have them. You might find like deer antler handled one in your grandpa's house. Trust me, I know my great grandpa has a knife collection that beats mine out tenfold. These are pretty good. I will say, like, just looking at this picture of this one, you can tell this is a full tang. So basically what happens here is the whole handle, or the whole, like, the blade runs all the way through the handle. So technically this is a blade, like, the whole thing is metal with the bits of handle, like these, it'll be on the same side, the handle stamped on, like they're riveted on. like if you were to turn the knife and hold it, like you could see that it's still the same metal. So this would probably be a better quality one. But then you get cheated with other ones. You get cheated with other knives that brand themselves as, you know, survival knives that you'll see. I do actually own one. I own one of those survival knives. That's a hollow handled thing that can break at any minute. Like, you know what? I will put this at A. Of course, you have the issues of closing distance, but then you also have the issues of, but then you have, it keeps relatively sharp. They're easy to find. They're pretty easy to maintain, depending on what metal you get. People absolutely rave and love Damascus. Damascus steel is, yes, very pretty. It's pretty strong, but it's a pain to maintain. I will be right back. I want to show you a couple of these things of what I mean. All right, I'm back. So this is the sort of appendices of the video. So this knife is my normal bushcrafting knife. It's the one I'll take camping with me. I can use it for starting fires. I can actually use this for splitting wood, for bucking wood. The probably needs sharpened, but the metal goes all the way through the handle. So this is just, the rubber is wrapped around here. I mean, this even has like a little window breaker and whatnot on there. It's thick. The blade is thick. It's sturdy. It's gonna last for a while. Even the sheath is pretty nice and thick. But then, this is one of the first survival knives I bought. It's one of the first things you can tell is that little black bit right there. It unscrews. So brands, like different people will like say, okay, this is a great survival knife or whatever, because you have this little inner workings. The handle's not great. It's like aluminum or something like that, maybe stainless steel. But with these like rubber bands on it for grip. But this is hollow. You can see to the knife, and the knife is just kind of, the tang is screwed in there, and it's not a full tang knife. I can go further into knives if you guys want me to for different things. But what the point of these survivor knives is what they brand themselves on is you can take, and normally, I don't know what happened to the little kit inside this one, but it'll have a kit inside of it, a survivor kit. So you have a lot of them do like a fishing hook and line. Some of them will do a couple matches, things like that. You know, they'll do random different little survivor things that can sit inside of this, that fit inside this handle, so that when you're ready, you have it with you. But it breaks. It breaks super easily. Most of them show up very dull. This one also has, this is one I don't like, feature that I don't like. So it's got multiple different types on, like, so this is a saw blade here. This is a serrated blade. Well, both of them are serrated, but one's meant for sawing, one of them is meant for other things. But they're not good. Is my point. So a good survival knife, yes, can be used for it, but a bad survival knife will screw you over. I'm gonna end this one here. If you guys like this sort of content, you want to see more of maybe outdoors content. I know there's 1,000,001 outdoors content sort of YouTubes, but hey, I love the outdoors. I love those sorts of things. teach you things that I learned from all my years in scouting, or other things that I've learned from other non-scouting things, bushcrafting things. Maybe other like knife reviews, sword reviews, those sorts of things. If you want me to do that, go ahead and let me know down in the comments below, because I would absolutely love to do that. But if you have any other ideas for videos you'd like me to do, go ahead and put them down in the comments below. Otherwise, we're still trying to get to our 1,000 subscriber goal by the end of the year, so if you have not yet, go ahead and hit that sub button. If you have any issues with any of the things on this list and where they're placed, go and let me know in the comments below. If you have anything that you want to add to this list that you can think of just randomly. And remember, the point is this is zombie melee, and I'm thinking not like, I'm not trying to take down a tank from Left 4 Dead 2 or something. I'm thinking a shuffling zombie from The Walking Dead. That's what I'm thinking. That's this is what I have in mind. But if you have anything that you want to add to this list, go and put it down in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. If you want me to do other tier lists for things, just let me know. Otherwise, you guys have a great rest of your day.